going on, everybody? You know who it is. This is Austin, and this is the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about real estate and we talk about lifestyle. Today's show is special because I know I get this question a lot, and even before I decided to take the full plunge into entrepreneurship, quitting my job, going in full time, it was always something that lingered in the back of my head. Hey, how do I get started investing in real estate, or how can I continue to grow my real estate investing business if I'm working a full-time job? If I'm exhausting 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week on my full-time job, which is my main bread and butter, it puts bacon on the table, how do I find the time, or how do I develop the system to invest in real estate on the side when I am spending all of my time, energy on my full-time job? And that's what today's episode covers: how to invest in real estate when you have a full-time job. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you have benefited by listening to the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast, if it's helped you have an aha moment, if it's helped you grow your business, if it's helped you, at least look at life a little bit differently, please leave me a rating and review on iTunes. Let's continue to share this message. And if you happen to know anyone that can benefit by coming on to the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast and add a lot of value to our guests, our listeners, our audience, please let me know. Let's get them on the show. Guy, gal, does not matter. Let's continue to share the sugar. So, without further ado, let's get into the show. What's going on, everybody? Today on the show, I actually got a chance to see today's guest at the Young and Wealthy Tour, which was an amazing presentation by two young brothers, one who I actually brought on the podcast previously to talk about wholesaling. His name was Isaac. And today's guest, I don't want to put them two together. I don't want to say which one is better, but I'm really excited to bring this individual on because, and we'll dive into the topic shortly, but this individual, he is the CEO of Mogul Home Solutions, which is his real estate investing company. He is the CEO of MHS Commercial Cleaning Company, and he's also the founder of Mogul Foundation, which is his nonprofit that is his platform to serve the community as far as the underprivileged youth and getting a chance to speak with young adults between the ages of around 8 or 9 all the way up to about 18, so that young adolescent phase, and teaching them, business principles, credit, investing, and using that particular platform to spread the message as we continue to pour into the youth as they are our future generation. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Ramel Newerls. Ramel, thank you for taking the time to take on and come on to the show, man.
Thank you, King. I appreciate you for having me, man. I'm excited to be on.
Like I said, it was awesome to see you at the Young and Wealthy Tour. And, you touched on a couple of things that I was like, I got to get this dude on the podcast. So I had to infiltrate and get your contact information, but I'm glad I finally got a hold on you. And thank you for coming on to the show, and we're going to dive right into this thing. Before we even get started, and with that introduction alone, and I'm pretty sure it might have gone over people's heads, but you're running 3 businesses essentially right now, right?
Correct. That's correct.
And you're also working a full-time job, though.
Yeah, that is true.
That's awesome, because we're going to dive into. So how do you now? Yeah. No one starts off holding a full-time job and then running 3 businesses on the side. No one, and 3 profitable businesses at that. Like, these aren't even failing businesses. Like, we're not, you're not calling yourself an entrepreneur just to have the sexy title. Like, these are actually profitable businesses. How did you get started? Like, take us all the way back and tell us how you got started and, how you built yourself up to where you are now.
Absolutely. So it pretty much started when I was young. My dad, he worked 25 years as a captain at Rikers Island. And, he always told me not to settle for a job alone because a job stands for just over broke. And he retired with the pension. And, to a lot of people, that seems like, oh, he lived a life. He had a good career, 25 years, pension. But now he has to go pick up a part-time job to sustain. So from young, he told me to leverage my job to also invest into multiple streams of income. And my mom, she was a full-time entrepreneur. So I kind of had the best of both worlds growing up. So entrepreneurship was something I always wanted to do. I wanted to be a millionaire, just change lives. And, I went away to college and I majored in business management. So I was able to land a corporate job with Pepsi Beverages Company right after leaving college. And I started out as a sales rep there. But ultimately, I knew I wanted entrepreneurship. I did not want to limit myself or allow the job to stunt my growth. And that's what a lot of people do. They get caught up in the 9 to 5, and 1 year passed, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Next thing you know, you're 30 years and you miss your dreams or your opportunity to become everything you wanted to be in life. And I didn't allow that. So I wrote down a plan. I wrote down a 3-year plan, and then I broke it down to 1 year, and then I broke it down to 6 months and 3 months, and then a monthly plan. And I pretty much held myself accountable. So when I started working as a sales rep for Pepsi, I saved a ton of money. 20% of my paycheck I put into a business account, just saving money. I also invested in, the J. Morrison Academy, where I started learning real estate strategies. I went and got me a secured credit card. And, while working, I was focused on building my credit, saving money, and putting myself in position to, ultimately take on entrepreneurship. And is one thing that I learned, which is knowledge plus credibility equals influence. So I started to build my knowledge base around real estate. I built credibility by always dressing the par, representing myself the right way, holding myself accountable and being a man of my word. And ultimately, I started to build influence for people that was around me in my immediate circle. And I was the go-to guy for real estate, and just in my immediate circle. And a friend of mine, family member, was going through a tough time with their property, and they were in a pre-foreclosure process, and they needed help to be saved from losing a home or ultimately just going through a foreclosure. And this opportunity was brought to me, and I was able to, because I built my credit, I saved money, I had a plan, I was able to acquire this property at half price. And it was a brownstone in Brooklyn, $1.2 million property, and I got it for half price. And that's really what helped propel me from there. I leveraged the money that I made from that deal to go and purchase a commercial cleaning franchise that has automated systems. Like, the beauty of a franchise is that you're buying into the systems that company has already set. So you don't have to really start from scratch. So I bought into this franchise, and they gave me the blueprint on the systems, on how to use it. It was just about me pressing play and putting people in position to run it. So, that was a benefit because I'm able to manage that business and still work. At the same time, I made sure that I leverage my career and work for the resources. A lot of times people work for money and they don't understand that you really need to look at the intangibles. What is the value that a company can provide you outside of the money? And with Pepsi, they would pay for the employees to go away to educational training facilities and weekends where they teach you about professionalism, how to build a team, how to manage a profit and loss statement. Just a ton of things that I was able to take and pour into my business, And ultimately, I learned the system. I got promoted twice within the next 2 years, and now I'm a sales district manager, so I have a little bit more time. I'm not a clock in, clock out employee. It's salary. I pretty much travel, hit the office maybe 2-3 times a week, but it's pretty much overseeing a team, and when you have a good team that runs and able to really get things done without you, it kind of buys you back some time. So that's how I was able to, manage my 9 to 5 and also have a system in place for the cleaning business, and then also hire team members because now I have money coming in that they can be able to be on call, answer phone calls, go on appointments, view properties, because I put the systems in place. So I say that to say the biggest thing that separated me from being able to run multiple businesses and have a career is systems.
And
System stands for save. Yeah.
Go ahead.
What's your question, King?
No, go ahead.
Systems stand for saving yourself significant time, energy, and money. And once you're able to really implement those things, that's when you'll be able to manage multiple businesses.
So, and I first came across that acronym at the Young and Wealthy Tour, and
Yeah.
that it's interesting because as I'm looking at my business and going into 2019, it's like, okay, I don't want to say I've hit this ceiling growth wise, but I've hit this. I'm coming. I don't want to say I hit any ceilings, but I'm coming close to that ceiling where the brute force of just the hustle eventually hits a limit where you need to start outsourcing and leveraging, because you can't do it all yourself. Like there's only but so much that you can do by yourself. So I'm making 2019, as I continue the growth and the potential to really scale and grow the business, I see the importance of having those systems in place, using the leverage and the proper resources to save you some time, or to relinquish some of the mundane tasks, so that way you can focus on, I call it your 20% activities, you call it your RGAs, you know what I mean, or your revenue generating activities, and you want to be able to have the chance to focus more on that. But one thing that you mentioned, as far as your upbringing, because you're 27, right?
26.
26,
Yeah.
right? And you've obviously you're doing things that a normal 26-year-old wouldn't do, but we kind of all have the same access to information out there, and a lot of people know, okay, entrepreneurship is the way to go. Own your business, invest your money. Everyone knows that, or a good portion of people know that, but there's something that happens between the knowledge and then the taking action part. And I don't know if it's because they underestimate the day-to-day grind, but you actually provide something like that where people can kind of see what you're doing on a day-to-day grind, correct?
Correct. That's a really good question. And a lot of my friends, they ask me that question, like, how was you able to really flip that switch? Because it wasn't always entrepreneurship with me. I had my bumps and bruises where, I got in trouble and was dabbling in the streets and things like that. But I think what really separated me was once I went away to college. And I was the first generation college student in my family, and I was around other individuals that financial literacy was important. Having assets, having good credit was important. And it wasn't about the fancy cars or what, designer clothing you have on. So I think like aligning yourself around the right people is also what's going to set you apart. And then also just, where do you see yourself? I had a point where I had to look in the mirror and say, where do I see myself in 3 to 5 years? And that was a harsh reality. Going down the path I was going on, I knew that my future wasn't going to look pretty. So once you're really able to look yourself in the mirror, understand, listen, where do you want to see yourself? Do you want to end up on this end of the road or the other end? And then you just make those steps, put that plan together.
Before we jump into, go ahead.
But just to piggyback off of what you said about the movement, I put together this making of a mogul movement. Because if you hear, I have the Mogul Foundation, Mogul Home Solutions. Like I kind of brand my businesses with the mogul. And traditionally, a mogul is somebody that has power, money, influence in a business. They dominate an industry. But I wanted to reprogram the way we look at a mogul and say, mogul stands for men of good, understanding leadership. So how do you utilize your power and influence to create other moguls, other entrepreneurs, build other professionals? So this movement is a documented journey where I show a day-to-day process of what I'm doing every day, going out, evaluating deals, making phone calls, up late at night, building with my team, everything that it takes for this process, because people think that it's overnight, but it's really not. It is a process.
I love how you're able to, peel back the curtain on that. Where can people find that at actually?
So they can follow me on Instagram at mogul lifestyle underscore. They can go on YouTube is mogul lifestyle underscore as well. That's where you'll see the vlogs and all of the footage of the documented day process between my YouTube channel and my Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, Ramel Newerls. I'm on LinkedIn, Ramel Newerls. But ultimately, to follow the vlog, Instagram and YouTube.
Gotcha. So your social media platforms is, where you're able to reach in and peel back the curtain and show the day to day.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Let's dump into this because I was kind of pulled back even when you had mentioned that you had a full-time job because and it's ironic, right? Because most of the time when you're talking entrepreneurship or when you're talking, running businesses, a lot of people think that that's the end goal, right? Like you quit your job and then you go into entrepreneurship. You don't need a job anymore. But you've been able to kind of flip it on its head. It's like using the bank against itself. But you've kind of been able to flip it on its head and continue your day job, right? Your salary job, your guaranteed money. And now you're funneling the businesses. So let's talk about how you run your real estate investing business while working a full-time job. A lot of people, and they ask me, or they don't have the time. They have money coming in, some decent money coming in. They want to make the transition, but they can't right away. What's the first step? If somebody says, I'm locked into my job, but I want to start, building a business, investing on the side, I want to start something. What would you say would be the first step to creating a business in real estate investing while working a full-time job?
That's a good question, right? So I really break it down to really finding out, all right, assess your life and your job. What time do you have? Are you really willing to put in the work? If you work a 9 to 5 and you get home and you just cut the TV on, eat, sleep, and go to bed, that's not going to cut it. Once you get home from your 9 to 5, you're going to be working at 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Tell each and every person that that's what they need to do and get that in their mind to know that you're going to have to lose some sleep up until you're able to get the systems running. Now, it's different ways we can go into real estate. You have wholesaling, you have fix and flips, you have, buying and holding, rentals. My strategy, what I started out with was buying and holding because it is a passive way of making money where I don't have to input so much time and I can balance my day job. So it's a book that I read. It's called The Book on Rental Property Investing, How to Create Wealth. And it's by a guy named Brandon Turner. And what I learned is if you can buy 3 properties per year that can bring you in, $2,000 per property, that's just additional income on the side that's passive, where you can get money in your sleep, you can put the systems in place, have a property management company. That's the true beauty of real estate because it's ways to invest to where you don't have to be out day in and day out. You can put things in place where you have a landlord, you have a super, you have property management, and to take care of these things, right? And so that's what I did. I started out, by purchasing a property, renting out, getting my income from it, and then taking that to go buy another property and building that stable income. And then once I built, real stable income, now I started to grow and influence others. And now I have a team where they now can go out and be more aggressive, from a wholesaling aspect. So it's not me per se going out and wholesaling and doing everything, but because I've built, a system, money, I can now pay people to go and do the work. But, just to bring it back, the first step I would say is understanding where you are. Are you willing to put in the work? And then go into the avenue of real estate that best fits your life. The avenue of real estate that was best suited for my lifestyle was rental property investing. And to each his own.
It's interesting because there would be a lot more entrepreneurs or a lot more, successful individuals if everybody was willing to do the 9 to 5 and then come home do the 6 to 2 a.m. I don't even think a lot of people are going to be, looking forward, to that because it's change, it's, getting out of their comfort zone. So I understand from certain people, like, that's hard, especially if they have a family, if they have, if they have kids, a significant other, things like that. Like, life kind of pops up, and it's hard to
Mm-hmm.
have that grind of the 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. kind of lifestyle. If how would someone if and it's hard because I don't want to tell people that they have to stay up to 2 a.m. or they have to do the 6 a.m. The 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. grind, because a lot of people they like the microwave version of it. It sucks, but they do like the microwave version of it. Let's turn the focus on like finding deals, but systemizing your process of finding deals, because that's where it starts off with. Even if they had the funding, even if they had the strategy, even if they had the processes and systems in place to run the rental property or to run the rehab, if they don't have a deal, all that other stuff is kind of null and void. What are some of the processes and systems that you have in place for finding deals and analyzing deals?
So just to piggyback on what you said, I know that's a good point as far as a lot of people nowadays do not want to do the 6 p.m.
Because I
to
don't
2
even
a.m.
want to scare people. Like, I don't even want to scare
Yeah.
my listeners, because even when I heard it, I was like, that's going to be a grind.
I don't want. But the truth of the matter is that entrepreneurship is a grind. It is what it is. We can't run from it. We can't hide it, and it could hurt an individual if they're not willing to do that. It's about, and that's what I did for 3 years straight. I was grinding it out until I started to make money to pay people to run these systems for me. So initially you have to put in that time. If you don't want to do 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., you can maybe just work on the weekends. Whatever you input into your business is what you're going to get out of it. So during the week, you might want to, maybe do a couple hours after you get home. But on a Saturday and Sunday, you're doing, 8 to 10 hours. So you can work it out how you feel, right?
Oh, question.
So that's my
sorry
point.
to cut you off. Here's a better question. What would you say, if someone's working a 9 to 5, what would you say is an acceptable amount of time invested over the course of the week? Are we looking at 10 hours, 15 hours, 30 hours? What? And then, because from there, people can kind of break it down bite size and say, okay, if I need to start off with 25 hours, 30 extra hours, okay, let me break that up. Let me do, if I can do 10 hours on Saturday and Sunday, then I only need to do, 10 more hours throughout the week, and at least they can split it up.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is an acceptable amount to start?
I say about 25 hours. If you can
Awesome.
break down 25 hours through the 7 days, that'll be sufficient enough.
Beautiful.
Definitely. But yes, as far as the systems to find deals right now, the biggest thing for me is that like I said, I have a team. So I have 2 agents on my team that they send me deals daily. Like every single day, they're pulling properties up the MLS. I have my team. They doing direct mail, putting out our postcards. They answer the phone calls and things like that. So, if you have the money, like that's the biggest thing, and that's why I teach people about credit, because a lot of times, it takes money to make money. To get people to move, you need to have money, and to have systems, you need to have money. And if you are in a position to pay people to do your direct mail or do your cold calling or pull properties off the MLS or whatever's listed, that's what's really going to help you. But if you're doing it by yourself, then you're going to be spending a lot of time, after work.
I love it, and it's interesting because it's a lot of people look for the secret sauce, right? And they listen, they watch video after video, podcast after podcast, and they still never take any. And I guess because and I was like that for the longest until I actually just started moving. And like the more that I just started moving, even if I didn't know exactly what I was doing, I just took an aspect, implemented it, see how I felt about it, see if there was any results. The more that I just started moving, the more results I actually started to get. So for the listeners, I asked that question because I want you to see that finding deals however you choose to, whether that's MLS, whether that's marketing, whether that's direct mail, whether that's door knocking, whether that's cold calling, whether that's anything revolving around finding deals. Like, you can Google how to find real estate deals, and they'll pull up a plethora of ways. It's just pick one
Yeah.
or two or three and implement it on a 10x level. But developing the system around it. If you're not going to do it, just hire someone to do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that's and yeah, like it's no, there's no secret sauce. It helps when when you've actually done it, and then you can teach people how to do it and then pay them to do it. But if you have money coming in from your job, just use that money to hire people to do that stuff for you. That, like, right? Like, there's nothing else. There's nothing else to it, right?
That's it. Like, what you're saying right now is making me so happy, because that is true. Everyone thinks there's some secret magic sauce to how you become successful in life or real estate or whatever. And it's really not. It's fundamentals, but do you have what it takes to apply it? That's really what it boils down to. And I love the idea of leveraging your 9 to 5, because that's your initial source of income. So you might have to not go out to the club one night, or you might have to cut back so that you can save money and put it into your business so that you can pay people to run the systems. Like I said earlier, 20% of my paycheck when I first got hired, I was putting into a business account just so that I can grow my business. And now, a lot of people ask me that too. Why do you still work when you make this money in your business? I could quit my job today and run my business, but through reading and understanding, having a plan, I learned that it's smart to continue to live off. Like, for me, I live off my career, my job income. I don't touch my business income. I use the business income to continue to reinvest, because now I can grow my business at a faster pace versus me quitting my job and living off my business income. That's going to slow it down. So if I have the systems, I have the money, I can reinvest and grow it. It's pretty much like me building, compound interest on my own money. I think that's
idea.
Yeah.
Love that idea. Just like the compounded interest on your own business. Loved it. So similar to the question about me asking, okay, if the individual's not working, willing to work from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., how many hours in the week do they need to get dedicate? And you said 25. If we had to put, which is hard, it's a tough question, but I want you to answer as best as you can, because every situation's kind of different. But if you had to put a dollar amount on, okay, save up $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, if you had to appropriate amount, is there an amount that people can say, okay, I have $5,000 in the bank, here's how I can use that to leverage and start a business investing in real estate on the side. I'm going to use $4,000 for direct mail marketing over the course of the next 3 to 4 or 5 months, and I'm going to use $1,000 total, or $200 a week for somebody to analyze the deals. $200. What is there? Is there a basic dollar amount that someone can say, okay, once I have this, I can start? And the only reason why I ask is because a lot of people, including myself, on certain things, like, I just, where's that threshold where I know, okay, it's time to take the next step? Is there a dollar amount that you can appropriate to that?
Honestly, no. I don't really like putting dollar amounts on when someone should start their business. I think, you should just, because it all depends on what you want to get out of it. You can really dump $100 into, putting out direct mail, and out of that $100, you might get one good deal that can really put you in the game. I think it's just really about knowing what you want to get out of it. If you want $1 million, then you need to invest $10,000 up front, save $10,000, and be able to really invest in paying people to do your direct marketing, your direct mail, bandit signs, or whatever it is that you're utilizing. It just really, how much do you want to grow? How much do you want to invest in your business? Where do you see it? And that's going to determine you to figure out how much money you want to put in.
what is a typical day or week look like for you, considering the fact that you have your full time job, but you're running three separate businesses on the side? What does a typical day or week look like for you, like time management wise?
So my schedule changes from week to week. I'm a big advocate of calendars. Like I have a calendar, I have a planner. I really stick to it. You know, that's when we agreed to do this podcast. I put it in my calendar, put the notifications, and now I'm blocked out. So I could have, like a typical on a Monday morning, I'll get up, you know, I'll open up my laptop, go through my emails, see what's going on, if I need to respond to any emergencies or anything like that. If everything is calm, you know, that's when I call my team and just check up on them. You know, hey, how's everything going? This is the expectations that we have for the week. You know, I pretty much, you know, give them all the expectations, right? And this is for my job, for my day job. Like I wake up, you know, go through my email, see where we are. And I manage a team of 5 individuals. So I will give them the expectation. This is what our plans are for this week. I expect each of you to have this done, you know, per day. I need a recap. If you need any support, let me know. So once I'm able to set those expectations, now that buys me my time and I can do what I need to do, which is, you know, if I need to go on an appointment for a property, or if I need to go check up on a client for the commercial cleaning franchise, because I already set the tone, you know, in my day job, and because of the position that I'm in, where I'm not a clock in, clock out kind of guy, I can set my appointments and, you know, align my days, you know, as I need. So typically, I usually hit the office Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and then Wednesday, Friday, I'm out and about, you know, just handling, you know, my business endeavors. And then Saturday and Sunday, I'm my business endeavors as well. That's pretty much like if I had to sum up what my week would look like.
You've embodied the true essence of what a CEO is. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, look at all the Instagram profiles, the LinkedIn profiles, you know, social media profiles, resume. You know, everyone wants to be the entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is the new rapper, right? And
yeah.
and everyone wants to be, you know, the CEO, which there's 2 aspects to it. One, usually they're the CEO and then they're the only one running their business and they're doing everything inside of their business. So, yes, you are the CEO, but you're also the marketing department, the sales department, the accounting department, the customer service department. You know what I mean? Like, you're everything of your business. And so that's one aspect of it. And, you know, and kind of the second aspect is like I have no problem with, you know, giving yourself that title and speaking anything into existence because, you know, I call myself, you know, you called yourself Young Mogul. I was Young Investor. Like, everybody that knew me, it was Young Investor. Like, all throughout college, like, that was my thing. Young entrepreneur, Young Investor. If I go through my old Facebook profiles, like, that, you know, that was me. And mind you, I was a broke college student that had, like, you know, a little marketing internship where I made a little bit of money. But that was it, you know, but I spoke it into existence, and here I am now. But the CEO aspect of it, like, you've embodied the CEO role. Like, your main job as CEO is one thing and one thing only: growth and growing the business. And you've outsourced everything else that is part of, like, the day-to-day activities. So I say that because, you know, whether, you know, if you choose to start a real estate investing business or, you know, any business in general, you really have to learn how to take the CEO approach and, you know, mentality wise, and not because you want to have the opportunity to put CEO as your job title.
You really hit it on the head, man. I think that's true value that you provided just now, because that's what separates a lot of, you know, successful entrepreneurs from the entrepreneurs who just call themselves entrepreneurs. And for me, like, and I kind of refer back to it, for 3 years straight, it was really me by myself doing this, just grinding, stacking my money, saving it, learning, doing everything I needed to do until I got that one deal. It was my one big break. But because I learned and I prepared myself before when that big break came, when I was able to get some money to really implement systems, now the systems just run itself. So I would say to any, aspiring entrepreneur that's building, that's in the grinding stages, do not feel discouraged if, your bank account is low or you're not getting this amount of clients or sales. Continue to stay focused, embody it, be embraced in the process, because when that opportunity comes and you get that big break, everything that you worked for is going to now be shown. And that's pretty much what happened for me. Everything that I worked for started to fall into place because the people around me believed in me because they seen what I was doing. I'm able to now pay people where it's not hurting me. Systems are running, and now I can be a multi-business owner. So, and I think the biggest thing for me, I understand. Well, the biggest thing for me, the reason why I wanted to become an entrepreneur is because of opportunity. Growing up, I played basketball, got cut from the team. I was rapping, I was doing a bunch of stuff, and it never worked out. And I chose to become an entrepreneur because I wanted to be an example that there's so many other things that we can do besides rap and play ball in the cities and in the black community. And I took a pretty much a pledge for me that when I'm in position to help people or employ people, help them become better, that's what I'm going to do. So I try to, implement multiple businesses and things like that so that I can put other people in position to feed their families and ultimately grow and do something that they love to do and just have a different outlook on life,
It's so interesting because even when you mention like your big break and, you mentioned, everything that you worked for in between, like, I'm a firm believer, like you become great in the process. Like you became like, say, like put like this, say if the big break, right? That big real investment deal. Say if that happened on June 1st, right? Like June 1st, you became great, quote unquote, January 1st. Or March 1st. Like you've already, like you get what I'm saying, right? Like you've already secured that deal without it even being materialized yet. You know what I mean? Like you already became great before the result actually showed up. That was just the reaffirmation. That was just the everything that you did March 1st. That was right. Like you did that right. Like everything that you did January 1st, that was what you were supposed to do. Good job. Here's your reward. But you became great way before the results even showed up. The moment that you started, right? The universe responded and was just like, this is what you need to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is what you need to do. And because you did it, like the results then showed up, whatever, 2 years later, 3 years later. But like you became great all throughout that process, and that was just the end result of like all the fruits and all the work ethic.
Absolutely. You said it yourself. When you was in college, man, you was a young investor, young entrepreneur. Like you seen it before anybody else did. You knew what you was before, and you had, trying to figure it out. And now today, you have your own platform as an investor, agent, everything that you're doing because you've seen that. And that was the same thing with me. 4 years ago, I said, I'm the young mogul. When I really wasn't, I have no money. I knew it, but I had the vision. And from that point on, you have to embody the entire process and be prepared for whenever the opportunity does come. Because that's one thing. Everybody says, I can't wait to become an entrepreneur. I can't wait till I get a ton of money. But if you're not mentally strong enough and prepared, that opportunity could come and you could just mess it all up because you wasn't mentally prepared and embodied what it really takes to be an entrepreneur.
They love the name. Just sounds sexy. Like, but when I tell people, like, if you look at my 1099, like my tax returns of my first year, like $5,000 I made, like $5,000. So people like now I'm way far from that. You know what I mean? Like caking now, but. Like that, that was the first year. Second year, wasn't crazy neither. But now, like over time, like time over task over, time on task over time. But now it's like the momentum has finally caught up, and now I'm able to really see some awesome fruits of labor. And now, you know what I mean. But it wasn't always like that, and. I quit my job to go into real estate full time. So, just that mentality switch alone, it's a whole mental shift when people, want to become entrepreneurs. And a lot of people just say it, because, it sounds sexy, or they just don't want to have a job per se. And being an entrepreneur
Yeah,
is 40 times harder than having a job. You know what I mean? Like,
that is true.
yeah, and like, a lot of people, yeah, we can talk about that forever. Before we jump into the core four, which are the four questions that I ask each and every guest on the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast, what's next for you? Because you've developed a couple of businesses, you've put systems in place, and the system is just anything that's done in the business on a reoccurring aspect. So that way, like you said, saving you what is it?
Saving yourself significant time, energy, and money.
Yeah. So you have your systems in place. What's next for you? Like, is it more? I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure it's more businesses, but what's the 3-year, 5-year, what's the 10-year plan?
So, I usually don't share this a lot, but like I have an ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to really be someone that sparks an economic, just movement, just a full blown movement. And I want to put together a recreation center in my hometown in Brooklyn, and not the typical recreation center. This recreation center is going to be foolproof financial literacy, where young kids can come into this center and learn real estate strategies, credit building strategies, a bunch of different things about entrepreneurship, but in a fun, activity-based way. So if you're learning real estate, we're going to be playing Monopoly, and you're going to be having fun, but we're going to teach you strategically on how Monopoly is really real-life real estate. That's like my ultimate goal, my 10-year plan. But in the meantime, it's just about me continuing to provide the impact and build this legacy and rebrand how young black men are perceived in society. In January of 2019, I have a web series that I'm going to be launching. So we just launched the pilot episode, proof of concept, that we're shopping to networks right now. But this web series is the next evolution of my brand, because now I want to show people that, we can do multiple things. We don't have to just, stick to real estate or commercial cleaning or whatever. We can do different things. And on getting into the media production world, that's an entirely different ballgame, because now you can change how we're seen. And this web series is called 435, the series, and it's pretty much about 6 African-American males who go away to college. They're the first people to go away to college in their family. And you've been to college, so that time frame is really you figuring out your life, figuring out your identity. And during this time, you may make some bad decisions or some good decisions that ultimately lead you down different paths. So these 6 characters, they all make different decisions in this environment. Ultimately, it leads them down different paths. And we just want to have a real depiction of what college life is like for the African-American millennial in maybe a predominantly white university. And that's what's next immediately. I'm working on a book right now, so I should have that out next year sometime. But we just continue to push the brand, create impact, and different streams to ultimately get to my end goal, which is to put that recreation center in my city and impact everyone.
I love it. And right before we go into the core four, there was one thing that you had mentioned, the game of Monopoly. First off, growing up, right, and you play Monopoly, right, you roll the dice, you move your pawn, yada, yada, do not pass go, do not collect $200, yeah, like, whatever the case. Didn't play it for years. And I'll never forget. Like, I haven't touched that game since I was, 6, 7, 8 maybe. And I will never forget. It was Thanksgiving. If it wasn't last year, it was the year before. And we had my family over, my fiance over. And we're like, let's bring out the board game. So, you know what I mean? Like, family fun. So I bring out Monopoly, right? Bring out Monopoly. And I'm opening it. I'm going through the directions. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is the absolute blueprint of real estate. And, like, it was mind blowing. And I'm like, how was this game for kids? Like, I don't know what it has. I don't know what it has on the, for ages 12 to 18. Like, I don't know what it has on it. But usually, the first time you come in contact with Monopoly is usually when you're a kid, I believe. But, like, reading it after, it's like, holy crap. Like, I didn't even realize, like, it was this in-depth when it came down to real estate. Like, it was the blueprint. Like, talking about mortgages, getting income from properties, talking about, defaults, talking about, it was mind-blowing. Absolute mind-blowing. But yeah, just to share that funny story. All right, going into the core.
Right.
Going into the core four. Question number one, Ramel, what is your favorite aspect about real estate?
My favorite aspect about real estate is the money. Honestly, just you can create passive income in your sleep. So who would not want to be in a business to where you can make money in your sleep?
Love it, and you're able to fund your lifestyle. That's a big proponent.
That's it.
Question number two, favorite business or personal development book? And you can't say the book on rental properties by Brandon Turner, which I also have as well, who is the co-host of the Bigger Pockets podcast, which is an awesome podcast that I listen to daily. What favorite business or personal development book?
Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That book is the book that changed my life. I read that at 9 years old. Did a book report on it, and from there on, I just hit the ground running.
All right, you're gonna have to give me one more, and the only reason why is because Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of those like. It's so fundamental that I don't even want to leave my guests hanging with just that book because they probably already know already. Give me one more.
Another book is called Self-Discipline for Entrepreneurs. Like that book right here is by a guy named Martin Meadows.
Oh my goodness! I just ordered. Oh my goodness. So now that's a reaffirmation for me. I just ordered from Amazon on Saturday. I just ordered like 4 of his books. Like it's self-discipline for the entrepreneurs, daily self-discipline, building up self-discipline. How do you like that book?
Mm-hmm. I love it. It's a great book. It really gives you the blueprint on how to train and reprogram your mind to be a successful entrepreneur. And the biggest difference between like successful entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs that fail is discipline. Are you able to withstand ups and downs? Like most businesses fail within that 3 or 5 year range, but are you able to make it through that? Do you have the discipline strategy? That is an amazing book, and it helps me day to day to continue to hold myself accountable. So I would definitely urge the viewers and for you to read that as well.
Awesome suggestion. I greatly appreciate you for that suggestion. Especially for the audience. Question number 3. What are the fun things that you like to do in your spare time when you're not out being a young mogul, when you're not out grinding, when you're not putting in countless hours? What are you doing for fun?
For fun, sports. I used to play basketball, so I'm still a fan. Like LeBron is my favorite player, so I got to catch some games and go to LA and watch him in person. So that's one of the things, like listening to music. I love music. Hanging around my family and friends, or going to activities. I love bowling. Bowling is one of my side activities that I love to do. I'm pretty much just an average Joe, like everyone else. Outside of business, hanging with my friends and family. Watching sports. Pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
That's awesome. Last but not least, Ramel, where can people find you at?
They can find me on Instagram. That's Mogul Lifestyle _ MOGULLIFESTYLE _ that same handle for YouTube is Mogul Lifestyle _ You can find me on Facebook, Ramel Newerls, and LinkedIn, Ramel Newerls.
Awesome. Ramel, I greatly appreciate you taking the time, man, especially in your busy schedule and your hectic day when you're out running everything, you getting pulled in a million directions. I greatly appreciate you, setting up the time block, which is so important, just on a time management scale, but that's another story. Thank you for setting aside the time. Thank you for setting the energy. Thank you for kind of letting us tap into your experience, your insight. The audience, I'm pretty sure, got a lot of gold, like, and actionable steps. Like, don't. I mean, anybody that's listening, don't second guess it. Don't question it. Just, get up and go. If you find a mentor. If you need to ask Ramel, hey, listen, any questions, I'm pretty sure he has an open door policy. But my thing is, when you get the answer to your question, implementation is the only difference that separates failure from success. And once you implement, like, give yourself the constructive feedback. Is your plan working? Is your strategy working? And Ramel can tell you from firsthand experience, just get up, go, learn on the way, make the adjustments. After you establish that, put the systems in place, hire people to do exactly what you were doing, and learn how to scale and continue to grow your business. Ramel, King, thank you so much for taking the time, man. We greatly appreciate you.
King Austin, I appreciate you for having me on. I had an amazing conversation. I hope, the viewers, I know the viewers got a lot of value out of you. And if there's anything you ever need from me, definitely reach out. Keep the movement going. I definitely see it. I support it. Respect.
Anybody reach out to Ramel if you have any questions. I'm pretty sure he's more than willing to help. Listen, he's 26. Throw the ego aside, throw the pride aside, whatever. Like, if that used to be my thing if anybody was younger. And then I realized, well, then how is that the case if I'm doing business with older people or people that's older than me, I should say. So throw the pride aside, throw the ego aside, reach out, ask for help. And once you get the answers to what you needed, put in the work and put it into action. Ramel, thank you so much, King.
Have a good one, King.